So now that you have an idea of the input, it's worth just a moment here to talk about the operating system. I know that this is not directly related to the content that we see in chapter 2, but it's absolutely worth thinking about here. Really, there are three main operating systems, but Windows makes this complicated. When you are looking at buying a Windows computer, and that is going to be just fine. There are perfectly acceptable Windows desktops and laptops out there. If you're a gamer, clearly you're going to go that route. It's a choice, and that's going to be okay. When you're looking at purchasing a Windows desktop or laptop, Windows 10 is going to be really popular. Windows 11 is going to be, in the newer versions of things that you can see, and those are going to be just fine. Absolutely, positively, we recommend staying the heck away from Windows 10S, which is essentially Windows' version of trying to be a Chromebook. The problem with Windows 10S is going to be the only apps that you can install are going to be from the Windows App Store. Now, there are perfectly okay apps there, but all of your favorite apps are not going to be there. So essentially, if you buy a Windows 10S laptop, you can use Edge and you can use Office and you can stop there for the most part. You want Adobe apps, they are not there. The game apps you want, they are not there. The other problem is going to be those are usually on very, very underpowered laptops, and the experience just isn't great. We always hear students complain about those, and I just cannot suggest or recommend to you a Windows 10S machine, even if it's super cheap. If you can scrape just a little bit more, you're going to find a machine that probably has uh, a better interaction with it. Next, I do just want to mention Chromebooks here. Chromebooks are perfectly okay for a lot of stuff, but the limitation there is going to be the applications that you can install. So Chromebooks run the Google Play App Store, and that is the essentially the sum and total of the applications that you can install on there. Yes, I'm aware you can load apps. Yes, I'm aware you can have, as crazy an interaction with your Chromebook as you would like. You can get something called a Linux subsystem installed on there where you can install Linux apps and see if they run. And I'll tell you now, some of them will run, but none of them will run well. So I know we have covered this before. I am somebody who is quick to spend money on tech stuff. There's just a hole in my soul that cannot be filled, no matter how many phones and iPads and Macs we throw at it. I don't know what it is. And I have tried the Chromebook as a developer station. I've tried the Chromebook to do these videos. I've tried the Chromebook for everything, and I'll tell you, it's not a great experience. So be aware of that. If you are 100% certain that you're only ever going to need, a Chrome browser and a couple of applications that you can get from the App Store, the Google Play Store, that'll be fine. But if, you know, you are going to use custom built software for something, so here for our class, CIS 102, a Chromebook will not do because you need the Office Pro Plus for Windows because we have Access involved there. If you are going to do programming, there's no good developers tools there that you can use. And yes, I've tried them all. They're not great. So I really think that a Chromebook is fine as a secondary device. A Chromebook is fine as like a couch surfing device. But I would say if you only have one device that you can afford, do not waste your money on the Chromebook. It is probably not going to meet your needs, at least not for school academically. You're seeing more and more that there are convertibles and detachables. So, a convertible is a laptop that can fold fully flat or 180 degrees. You'll never ever do that. I have one, I have never ever done that before. Actually, I have several that I have never ever done that. before. A Windows device as a tablet sucks. It's really not good. You can see it. It's right back here. There is right there. That is a Surface Pro. There is a Surface Book, and there is another Surface Pro under there. All of those are supposed to be equally tablet and computers. The tablet part sucks. You'll never do it. If you're going to want a tablet, a detachable, get a tablet, get an iPad or well, they do make Chromebook tablets now or an Android tablet. I will tell you the App Store experience is really limited on an Android tablet. They can be really, really inexpensive. There are times over the course of a year where, like, an Amazon Fire tablet drops to $55 for the 8-inch version. The experience isn't great, but $55 is, pretty good for couch surfing type stuff. I'm okay with that. An iPad, on the other hand, you can get an external keyboard, you can get an external mouse. We actually have on our sister channel, rvccis.info, a couple of ways that you can use an iPad as a complete desktop replacement, and it works. The problem is going to be, even though there are millions of apps that are really great in the App Store, you are still going to be limited when it comes to the Office applications. So there is no access for an iPad. There is Excel, there is PowerPoint, and there is Word. You can also use office365.com the same way that you could with a Chromebook there. But you should be aware that there are limitations there. I have seen students try to supplement their experience here at school with an iPad, and I think it works a lot. So for the students that do the doodling on there with a pen, that works out great. So when they take notes, it feels like a notebook. It works out great. I've seen students do, they'll have the keyboard folio, so it'll unfold, and there's a keyboard in there, and that works great sometimes too. But know what the limitation there is. There's also Mac OS, so that would be, a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro. I'm just going to give it away now. You can please feel free to go through to our recommendations for the laptops later. But buy a MacBook Air and stop there. The rest of them very, very probably are way too cost prohibitive, and they do not return the value that a MacBook Air returns. And honestly, I would say if you're thinking about buying a Mac OS machine as a laptop, absolutely that's the only one I would recommend. I have a different one, and I'll call them special needs. I need a discrete graphics card and things like that. But even that big $2,000 16-inch MacBook Pro probably is not as fast as an $850 MacBook Air is now. The screen's a little bigger, but that's about it. So the operating system there does make a difference. The only two I would recommend as the only thing that you can use for all of your academic needs are going to be, in this order, Windows and then Mac. Even I know that there are limitations, especially for this class. There's going to be access. I'm not saying don't buy a MacBook Air. I think that they're great. But if you only have one and you want the least barriers to how it is that you are going to interact with school stuff, Windows. Make sure, though, that it is Windows 10, Home or Pro. It really doesn't matter. Windows 11, Home or Pro. It doesn't matter. Do not get Windows S mode. That is going to be just as bad and just as limiting as a Chromebook. It is going to be just as bad and just as limiting as an iPad. And frankly, there's not going to be any application support there. If you're going to go the Windows 10 S route, buy an iPad instead. Chromebooks are okay, but secondarily.